Shmita basis, a Jubilee basis. I'll release or withhold on the basis of my times and seasons. So let's keep that in mind. Now, the principle is expanded from the Sabbath, 7th day, to the Shmita, 7th year. Where is the expansion found? There are many places, but I've just chosen some. In Leviticus chapter 25, verses 1 to 7 and 20 to 22, there is this concept of giving the land rest every 7th year. Let the land rest. You notice, you rest on the 7th day. The land rests on the 7th year. Okay? The Lord is expanding, magnifying the principle. And He makes a blessing for those who follow His word. There will be so much on the 6th year that you do not even need to produce on the 7th year, because you will live on the bounty of the 6th year. You just start to sow starting the 8th year. Okay. Now, the anointings of the Shmita. What are the specific anointings and blessings of the Shmita? From the Sabbath to the Shmita. Number 1, Deuteronomy 15 verses 1 to 2. There is the release of every creditor. Release from utang. Release from creditors. That is the word of the Lord. And they have a term for this in Israel. They call it Shmitat Kesafim. Release of money debts which come every Shmita, every 7th year. And then release of the land. The land is released. During the 7th year, the land is allowed to rest, and so the magnificent produce of the land is guaranteed by the Lord, because the land is released and allowed to rest. And there is a release of superabundance because the land is allowed to rest, so that in Leviticus 25, 21 to 22, there will be just so much blessing for the 6th year that you will just plant again on the 8th year, the 7th is covered. Now, we are moving towards the concept of the last days. This is just foundation. We need to lay down the foundation patiently. From Sabbath to Shmita, he moves to Shmita of Shmitas, which is 7 sevens or the Jubilee. Okay. What is the Jubilee? This is 7 times 7. So you move from the 7th day to the 7th year to the 49, which is 7 times 7. When you reach the 3rd phase, the trumpet is sounded, which is the trumpet of the Jubilee. And on the 50th year, meaning from the 49th you go to the 50th year, liberty is proclaimed throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants, and every man returns into his possession. And there is just so much produce of the land. There is so much rejoicing in the land. There is so much abundance that in the year of Jubilee, every man shall return unto his own possession. So, the word Jubilee is taken from the root word Yobel, which means trumpet. And the expanded meaning is release of all debts, return of all lands, restoration, and rejoicing. Now, we are now in the main point of our discussion tonight. We are in the end times. Are we still followed by the law of the Shmita? Because that was established by the Lord, does it still work up to now? Especially we who are interested in the prophetic. Look at this, Daniel chapter 9, verse 24. It says, 70 weeks or 77s are determined for your people. And what does it say? The people and the holy city are governed by 77s. For what? To finish the transgression, to make an end to sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision, prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. And you will know in your journey towards the 70 weeks, because there are still seven principles that will govern you. Because it says in verse 25, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince, there shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. And after the 62 weeks, week is 7. So after the 62 sevens, the Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. And then another one will come who will confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. 1 week meaning 1 Shmita, 1 set of 7 years. And in the middle of the week, he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. And on the wing of abomination shall be one who makes desolate, even until the consummation which is determined is poured out on the desolate. This is the entire prophetic backbone from the time that Jerusalem was rebuilt to the time that Christ was crucified, up to the time of the end of the age when the Antichrist is revealed, governed by the law of the Shmita. Okay? Now, look at this. 70 weeks, your people, your holy city. 70 weeks, 62 weeks, 62 weeks, 1 week. And let us simplify this. 7 sevens is 49 years. From the decree to rebuild and restore Jerusalem until the ruler comes is 7 sevens and 60 sevens. And 62 sevens, the anointed one will be cut off. So this is how it looks like. 7 sevens is 49 years. 62 sevens is 434 years. And then there is 1 7, so 7 years. The result is 490 years. Okay. This is just a short discussion because we are interested in the last Shmita. Why? Because of the 490, 483 are already accounted for. Tapos na ang 483. Because it started in 444 BC, the year when Artaxerxes issued the decree to rebuild Jerusalem. You add 483 years, it ended in 33 AD, the year Jesus was crucified, exact down to the last year. The only thing that we are looking for is the last 7 years. In other words, we are now looking for the last Shmita. So this whole short topic tonight is about the last Shmita. Being conscious of the last Shmita. When will it start? When will it end? What will it bring? There is evidence of a Shmita cycle in prophetic timeline. I shortcut this because this is really quite long, so I just highlighted some incredible revelation. The building and the destruction of the temple all were within Shmita years, the time that they were destroyed. If you count the Shmita years, you will run up to September 25, 2014 through September 13, 2015 as the first of the next Shmita. This month, September 25, up to September 13, 2015, is the first of another Shmita. And I will ask you to ponder on what it means for you and me today. Somebody made a study of the 7-year cycles from 1980 to 2015. And it discovered that there is a Shmita cycle of boom and bust. Ma-increase ang economy, mahulog naman, ma-increase, mahulog, ma-increase, mahulog, ma-increase, mahulog. Every Shmita years. It falls within what the economists say is the cycle, the economic cycle, which begins with optimism, And then there is excitement, there is thrill, there is euphoria, and then there is some anxiety, then denial, fear, then desperation, panic, capitulation, despondency, depression, hope, relief, optimism. Even this cycle follows the Shmita principle. We know some people to be bipolar. Even their mood swings seemingly follow the same cycle or principle. But let us look at the last Shmita years. The most recent Shmita years have been quite interesting. These are the Shmita years. May I just bring our attention to 2001 and 2008. All of these were marked by major reversals in the stock market. Some things collapsed in the U.S. economy on these Shmita years. Where did it begin in its momentum towards our place now, our time now? It started in the year 1917, which was a Shmita year. What was the main event in 1917? The Balfour Declaration, which declared the intention of the Jews to go back to their land of Israel. Notice the cycle that followed. 50 years later, 7 Shmitas, 1967, Jerusalem, Judah, Shomron, Golan, and Gaza came under Jewish control. 50 years before, they declared their desire. Wait. So, this is 1967. Now, look at the next Shmita, which is September 25, 2014 to September 13, 2015. What do we expect would happen in this beginning Shmita? Your guess is as good as mine. But please note, from Jubilee to Jubilee, 1917, 1918 was a Jubilee year. 50 years later, 1966, 1967 was a Jubilee year. In the first Jubilee that we are talking about in our lifetime, Jerusalem was liberated from the Ottoman Empire. The second Jubilee, Jerusalem was liberated from Arab control in the Six-Day War. The coming Jubilee, if you see where we are coming to, we are coming into the third Jubilee, and it falls in the middle of a Shmita year, which starts in the year 2014. Okay? So something is cooking here, which is very interesting. Something is cooking. Because 1967 plus 50 is 2017. Question: where shall we locate or place Daniel last 7 years? Because there has to be a last Shmita. Remember, there is just one more Shmita. Of the 490, 483 is already accounted for. Where in the world is this last 7? And it is not going to happen in a non-Shmita year. It will always be in a Shmita year. A 7-year cycle. The million-dollar question is, when do you start counting? The first of the last 7. Look at this time graph. The 69 weeks, because there are 70 weeks, we have already accounted that for. Okay? It ended with the Messiah, the prince, being cut off. That was 33 AD. After the Messiah, in 70 AD, the temple was destroyed. 1 million Jews were killed by Rome. And In 135 AD, another 580,000 Jews were killed by Rome. And the Gentiles were grafted into Israel's covenant blessing and entered the gap, which is the grace period, which is the church age, and the 490 of Daniel had a pause, ending at 483 years. The million-dollar question is, when will we start counting the last seven? The last seven. We are looking at the following things because we need to know when will we start counting. If you check Bible prophecy, there is a hint of a 7-year covenant, an agreement to rebuild the temple associated with peace. When that temple is rebuilt, the Antichrist